Sutra on Perfect Wisdom, with the divisions of the Abhisamayalamkara. Translated by Edward Conze. University of California Press, Berkeley, Los Angeles, London. Translation of the Sutra. Chapter 1 Introduction. A. Preface. The scene and circumstances of the sermon. Thus have I heard at one time. The Lord dwelt at Rajagriha, on the Vulture Peak, together with a large gathering of monks. With 1250 monks. All of the arhats, their outflows dried up, undefiled, fully controlled, quite freed in their hearts, well freed and wise, thoroughbreds, great serpents, their work done, their task accomplished, their burden laid down, their own weal accomplished with the fetters that bound them to becoming extinguished, their hearts well freed by right understanding, in perfect control of their whole minds. With 500 nuns, laymen, and laywomen, all of them liberated in this present life. And with hundreds of thousands of niyutas of kotis of bodhisattvas, all of whom had acquired the dharanis. Dwellers in emptiness, their sphere in the sign-less, who had not fashioned any desire for the future. Who had acquired sameness and patience. Who had acquired the dharani of nonattachment. Who had imperishable super-knowledges. Were of acceptable speech. Not tricksters. Not chatterers. With thoughts that had left behind all desire for reputation and gain. Disinterested demonstrators of the spiritual Dharma. Ready to accept deep Dharmas without reserve. Who had obtained the grounds of self-confidence. Had transcended Mara's deeds. Were free from obstacles caused by their past deeds. And skillful in expounding the analysis of investigations into Dharmas. Riri, who had formed the vows incalculable eons ago. Who address others with smiling countenances. Without a frown on their faces. Skillful in songs, chants and benedictions. With thoughts free from sluggishness. With their flashes of ideas uninterrupted. Endowed with self-confidence when engaged in overpowering endless assemblies. Skilled in going forth during endless kotis of eons. Resolutely intent on dharmas which they held to be like an illusion, a mirage, a reflection of the moon in water, a dream, an echo, an apparition, an image in the mirror, a magical creation. Skillful in understanding the destiny of beings, their subtle thoughts, their conduct and intentions. With unobstructed thoughts. Endowed with extreme patience. Skillful in teaching others how to penetrate to the true character of reality. Acquiring through their vows and their setting out the endless harmonies of all the Buddha fields. Always face to face with the concentrated recollection of the Buddhas of countless world systems. Skillful in soliciting innumerable Buddhas. Skillful in appeasing the various views, biases, prepossessions, and defilements. And in producing 100,000 concentrations and in playing with them. They are the Bodhisattva Bhadrapala. The Great Being. The Bodhisattvas Ratnakara. Sarthavaha. Naradatta. Varunadatta. Subhagupta. Indradatta. Uttaramati. Visheshmati. Vardamanamati. Amokadasan. Susamprasthita. Suvakrantavikraman. Nityodyukta. Anakshiptadura. Suryagava. Anupamasintan. Avalokitesvara. Mahesthamaprapta, Manjusri, Varamati, Ratnamudra Asta, Nityakshiptahasta and Maitreya the Bodhisattva, the Great Being, at the head of many hundred thousands of niyutas of kotis of bodhisattvas. Thereupon the Lord, having himself arranged the lion seat, sat down with his legs crossed. Holding his body erect. Intent on fixing his mindfulness, he entered into the concentration, king of concentrations by name, in which all concentrations are included, comprehended and come to meet. Thereupon the Lord, mindful and self-possessed, emerging from this concentration, surveyed with the heavenly eye the entire world system. His whole body became radiant. From the wheels with 1,000 spokes imprinted on the soles of his feet issued 60,100,000 niyutas of kotis of rays. And so from his 10 toes, and similarly from his ankles, legs, knees, thighs, hips and navel, from his 2 sides, and from the sign Srivatsa on his chest, a mark of the Superman. Similarly from his 10 fingers. His 2 arms, his 2 shoulders, from his neck, his 40 teeth, his 2 nostrils, ears and eyes, from the hair tuft in the middle between his eyebrows, and from the cowl on the top of his head. And through these rays this great tricholiacosm was illumined and lit up. And in the East world systems as numerous as the sands of the Ganges were, by this great illumination of rays, lit up and became illumined. So in the south, the west, the north, the northeast, the southeast, the southwest, the northwest, below and above. And the beings who were lit up and illumined by this great illumination of rays, they all became fixed on the utmost right and perfect enlightenment. Thereupon all the Lord's hair pores became radiant, and from each single pore issued 60,100,000 of niyutas of kotis of rays through which this great tricholiacosm was illumined and lit up. And in the East world systems as numerous as the sands of the Ganges were, by this great illumination of rays, lit up and illumined. Answer in the other 9 directions. And the beings, who were lit up and illumined by this great illumination of rays, they all became fixed on the utmost right and perfect enlightenment. See thereupon, the Lord again, with the natural splendor of the Buddhas, the Lords, illumined the great tricholiacosm. And so on, up to. In all the 10 directions, in each single direction, world systems as numerous as the sands of the Ganges were illumined by his splendor. And the beings who were touched by this splendor, they were all fixed on the utmost right and perfect enlightenment. Thereupon the Lord on that occasion put out his tongue. With it he covered the great tricholiacosm, and many hundreds of thousands of niyutas of kotis of rays issued from it. From each one of these rays there arose lotuses, made of the finest precious stones, of golden color, and with thousands of petals. And on those lotuses there were, seated and standing, Buddha frames demonstrating Dharma, i.e. this very demonstration of Dharma associated with the 6 perfections. They went in all the 10 directions to countless world systems in each direction, and demonstrated Dharma to beings, i.e. this very demonstration of Dharma associated with the 6 perfections. And the beings who heard this demonstration of Dharma, they became fixed on the utmost right and perfect enlightenment. Thereupon the Lord, seated on that very lion seat, entered into the concentration called the lion's play. With his supernatural power he shook this great tricholiacosm in 6 ways. It moved back, trembled from one end to another, tossed along. At the sides it rose up, in the middle it sank down. In the middle it rose up, at the sides it sank down. It became soft and pliable, and all beings came to be at ease. Thereupon, at that moment, minute and second, in this great tricholiacosm the hells, and the animal world, and the world of Yama, they all were abolished and became empty, and all the places of untoward rebirth disappeared. And the beings who had deceased in these destinies, i.e. the hells, the animal births, and the world of Yama, they all, through the very joy and rejoicing, were reborn among men, and also among the 6 kinds of gods of the realm of sense desire. Thereupon these men and gods, through the very might of the Lord, recalled their former lives. In the great joy and rejoicing they then approached the Lord, saluted his feet with their heads, raised their folded hands to the Lord and paid homage to him. Answer in each one of the 10 directions, in world systems countless. As the sands of the Ganges, all the hells, animal births, and worlds of Yama were abolished and became empty, and all untoward moments disappeared. And the beings who deceased in these three destinies, they all, through the very joy and rejoicing, were reborn among men, and also among the 6 kinds of gods of the realm of sense desire. And those who were thus reborn among gods and men, through the might of the Lord, recalled their former lives. They then, in the great joy and rejoicing, went each to his own Buddha field and approached the presence of the Buddha, the Lord who had arisen therein, saluted his feet, and they all raised their folded hands and paid homage to the Lord. Thereupon in this great tricholiocosm the beings who were born blind saw forms with their eyes. The deaf heard sounds with their ears. The insane regained their mindfulness. Those with distracted thoughts became one-pointed in their thoughts. The hungry were fed, the thirsty found their thirst stilled, the sick were healed and the crippled made whole. Those with unwholesome deeds of body, word and mind, and with unwholesome livelihood gave up their unwholesome habits. All beings considered each other as one considers one's mother, father, brother, sister, friends, companions, kinsmen, and relations. And they tended the 10 wholesome paths of action. Guarding their chastity, pure, they lived in the odor of sanctity. And all beings, possessed of all happiness, acquired the ease which a monk feels when immersed in the 3rd trance. And at that very time they were endowed with such wisdom that the Buddhas and lords in other Buddha fields cried out, "Good is self-discipline. Good is quietude. Good is self-mastery. Good is it to have observed the practice of the religious life. Good is the non-harming of living beings." Quote, Thereupon the Lord, seated on this very lion seat, overtowered this great tricholiocosm. There the Tathagata stood in all his glory. Shone forth, gleamed and shed light, surpassing with his splendor, luster, brilliancy, and beauty world systems as numerous as the sands of the Ganges in each of the 10 directions. He did so in the same way in which Sumeru, king of mountains, overtowering all mountains, stands, shines forth, gleams, and sheds light, surpassing them with its splendor, luster, brilliancy, and beauty. Thereupon the Lord exhibited his own natural body in this great tricholiocosm. The gods of the world of sense desire and of the world of form in this great tricholiocosm saw that